son of Sal. The city was gripped by fear. A phantom stalked the night, a shadow lurking in the alleyways, a specter that whispered death into the ears of its victims. They called him the son of Sal. Detective Marcus Harper was not a man easily rattled. With 20 years on the force, he'd seen his share of gruesome crimes. But the son of Sal was different. There was a calculated precision, a cold, clinical efficiency to the murders that chilled him to the bone. The victims, all men, were found in isolated locations, their bodies arranged in disturbingly symmetrical positions. A single, precise gunshot to the head was their calling card. No forced entry, no signs of struggle. It was as if the killer was invited in. Harper studied the crime scene photos. The victims were all successful, middle-aged men. No obvious connection between them except for the way they lived. They were all leading seemingly perfect lives. Good jobs, loving families, no criminal records. The kind of men who were the envy of their peers. But there was something off. A darkness beneath the polished facade. Harper sensed it, a faint whisper in the wind. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source, a rookie detective named Anya Petrova. She was young, eager, and possessed an uncanny ability to spot patterns. The victims, she said, her voice low, they all had a secret life. Harper raised an eyebrow. A secret life? What kind of secret life? Anya pulled out a file. They were all involved in high-stakes gambling. Illegal poker games, sports betting, you name it. Big money, big risks. Harper was intrigued. But why kill them? There's no robbery, no motive. Anya hesitated. Maybe it's not about the money. Maybe it's about the game. The theory was as chilling as it was compelling. The son of Sal wasn't just a killer. He was a player, the high-stakes gambler who had lost everything. And now, he was exacting revenge. Harper and Anya delved deeper into the world of underground gambling. They infiltrated poker games, befriended bookies, and even placed a few bets themselves. They were looking for a ghost, a man who existed only in shadows. Then came the call. Another victim, same MO, same perfect life, same secret gambling addiction. But this time, there was a difference. A witness. A young woman named Emily, a cocktail waitress at a high-end casino, claimed to have seen the killer. She described a man in his late 30s, tall, with piercing blue eyes and a cold, detached demeanor. The description sent a shiver down Harper's spine. It matched the profile of a man they'd been investigating, a mysterious gambler known only as the Ghost. The hunt was on. Harper and Anya followed every lead, every rumor, every whisper. They were closing in. But then, the unthinkable happened. Anya was found dead, her body bearing the chilling signature of the son of Sal. The city was plunged into a new wave of terror. Harper was devastated. He vowed to bring the killer to justice, not just for the victims, but for Anya. The investigation took a dark turn when they discovered a connection between the victims and a shadowy organization known as the Syndicate. A criminal empire built on gambling, extortion, and murder. Harper realized that the son of Sal wasn't just a lone wolf. He was a pawn in a deadly game, a puppet master pulling the strings. The final confrontation took place in a deserted warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The son of Sal was waiting, a cold, calculating predator. It was a tense standoff. Bullets flew, and the warehouse echoed with the sound of gunfire. When the smoke cleared, only one man was left standing. Harper stood over the body of the son of Sal, a man named Daniel Carter, a former police officer turned ruthless criminal. The pieces of the puzzle finally fit together. Carter had lost everything in a high-stakes poker game, driven to madness and revenge. As Harper looked down at Carter's lifeless body, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this story, a deeper darkness that still lurked in the shadows. The city breathed a sigh of relief. The son of Sal was dead. But Harper knew that the nightmare was far from over. The Syndicate was still out there, a monstrous shadow cast over the city. And he was determined to bring them down, one by one. The city was no longer just afraid, it was paralyzed. The son of Sal was gone, but the shadow he cast loomed large. Harper was consumed by a relentless pursuit of the Syndicate. He was no longer just a detective, he was a hunter stalking his prey. His first target was a man named Victor Russo, a known associate of the Syndicate and rumored to be the organization's financial mastermind. Russo was a ghost, a man who lived in luxury while remaining elusive. Harper spent countless hours poring over financial records, tracking down offshore accounts, and building a case against Russo. It was a meticulous process, the game of chess played with billions of dollars at stake. And then, a break. A disgruntled accountant, fearing for his life, contacted Harper with damning evidence against Russo. It was a golden opportunity, but it was also a death sentence for the accountant. Harper moved swiftly. He orchestrated a high-stakes sting operation, a trap designed to ensnare Russo. It was a risky gamble, but it was the only way to bring him down. The operation was a success. Russo was arrested, his empire crumbling around him. But as Harper watched Russo being led away in handcuffs, he felt a profound sense of emptiness. He had captured the king, but the game was far from over. The Syndicate was a hydra, capable of regenerating its heads. For every member they arrested, 2 more would rise to take their place. Harper realized he was fighting a losing battle, a war against an invisible enemy. Desperation crept into his heart. He was losing sleep, neglecting his family, and becoming a shadow of his former self. The weight of the city's safety rested on his shoulders, and he was beginning to crack. Then, a mysterious package arrived at his office. It contained a single photograph, a grainy image of a man with a familiar face. It was Sal, the father of the son of Sal. Harper was stunned. Sal was supposed to be dead, a victim of the past. But here he was, staring back at Harper from the photograph, his eyes cold and menacing. The discovery sent Harper down a rabbit hole of forgotten cases, dusty files, and long-buried secrets. He learned that Sal was not just a victim, but a complex figure with a dark past. A past that was inextricably linked to the Syndicate. As Harper delved deeper, he uncovered a conspiracy that spanned decades, a web of corruption that reached into the highest levels of government. The Syndicate wasn't just a criminal organization, it was a shadow government, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. The truth was more terrifying than anything Harper could have imagined. The city he loved was a puppet on a string, manipulated by forces beyond his control. And he was running out of time. The final confrontation was inevitable. Harper knew it, and so did the Syndicate. It would be a battle for the soul of the city, a clash of titans that would determine the fate of millions. Harper stood alone, a lone warrior against an army of darkness. But he was not afraid. He had come too far to turn back now. This was his city, and he would protect it at any cost. As the first rays of dawn painted the sky, Harper took a deep breath and stepped into the shadows, ready to face the darkness. The final chapter was about to be written, and it would be a story of blood, sacrifice, and redemption. The warehouse was a cavernous, echoing void, a concrete tomb bathed in the cold, harsh light of industrial fluorescence. It was here, in this desolate place, that the final act of a decades-long tragedy would unfold. Harper stood at the entrance, his heart pounding like a trapped bird. The air was thick with tension, the silence oppressive. He was alone, a solitary figure against the looming shadow of the Syndicate. A voice cut through the stillness, cold and menacing. "You've come a long way, Detective Harper." It was Sal. Older, more frail, but with the same chilling intensity in his eyes. Beside him stood a younger man, a shadow, a reflection of the evil that had consumed the city. "I've come to end this," Harper replied, his voice steady. Sal laughed, a hollow, mirthless sound. "End it? You're delusional. This is just the beginning." The warehouse erupted into chaos. Gunfire echoed through the cavernous space, bullets ripping through the darkness. Harper fought with a feral intensity, each blow a testament to his survival instinct. He wrestled with Sal's younger counterpart, a brutal, hand-to-hand combat that tested the limits of human endurance. The younger man was a beast, fueled by a rage that bordered on insanity. But Harper was relentless, his determination a force to be reckoned with. With a final, desperate surge, Harper managed to disarm his opponent. As he stood over the fallen man, he saw a flicker of recognition in his eyes. A name formed on Harper's lips, a whisper in the chaos. "Marco." The younger man's eyes widened in shock before fading to black. Sal watched the exchange with a cold detachment, his eyes filled with a strange kind of triumph. "You've killed my son," he said, his voice barely a whisper. Harper didn't respond. He knew what was coming. Sal reached into his coat and pulled out a small, silver device. He pressed a button, and the warehouse was filled with a deafening roar. The walls began to tremble, and cracks appeared in the ceiling. "Goodbye, Detective," Sal said, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "This city will burn." Harper knew he couldn't escape. The warehouse was a tomb, and the flames were closing in. He took a deep breath, accepting his fate. As the heat intensified, Harper thought of Anya, of the city he had sworn to protect, of the hope that still flickered in the hearts of its people. And then, darkness claimed him. The city mourned the loss of its hero, but Harper's sacrifice was not in vain. The evidence he had gathered, the files he had hidden, were enough to bring down the Syndicate. In the aftermath, a new city began to rise from the ashes. A city free from the shadow of fear, a city where hope and resilience triumphed over darkness. Harper's name became a legend, the symbol of courage and sacrifice. And though he was gone, his spirit lived on, a beacon of light in a world that had once been consumed by shadows. The city was rebuilding, brick by brick, soul by soul. The physical scars were slowly healing, but the psychological wounds ran deeper. The specter of the son of Saul and the Syndicate still lingered, a haunting echo in the minds of those who had lived through the terror. Detective Marcus Harper was not among them. He was gone, consumed by the flames of the warehouse, his body never recovered. But his legacy lived on. The city had renamed a park in his honor, a green oasis in the heart of the metropolis, a place where children laughed and families gathered. Anya Petrova's name was also remembered. A scholarship fund had been established in her honor, supporting young women pursuing careers in law enforcement. Her spirit, her unwavering determination, was an inspiration to a new generation. Saul and his organization were gone, but the darkness they had sown continued to cast long shadows. The city was vigilant, the police force strengthened, and the citizens more united than ever. Yet, in the quiet moments, when the city slept, there were those who looked up at the night sky and wondered. Had they truly vanquished the evil? Or had they merely pushed it into the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike again? Harper's last words echoed in the minds of those who knew him, "This city will burn." It was a prophecy, a warning, a reminder that the battle was far from over. The city was safe for now, but the darkness was always watching, waiting for its chance to return. Years passed. The city, once a ghost town of fear, was reborn. Skyscrapers pierced the skyline, a testament to its resilience. The scars were fading, replaced by the vibrant pulse of a metropolis that refused to be defined by its past. Yet, in the quiet corners of the city, shadows lingered. People like Sarah, a young, ambitious detective, carried the weight of the city's history on her shoulders. She was part of a new generation of law enforcement, trained to be vigilant, to see the unseen. She had grown up hearing tales of Harper, of Anya, of the son of Saul. They were more than just names, they were symbols, a constant reminder of the city's fragility. One evening, while poring over cold cases, Sarah stumbled upon an anomaly. A minor crime, a robbery, years old. But something about it didn't fit. There was a pattern, a whisper of familiarity in the modus operandi. A chill ran down her spine. It was then she realized the city was changing, but the darkness was evolving too. The old evils were gone, but new ones were taking their place. A new generation of criminals was emerging, cunning, ruthless, and with a deep-rooted knowledge of the city's underbelly. Sarah was not afraid. She was prepared. The ghosts of the past were her teachers, their sacrifices her inspiration. She was the guardian of the city's future, the protector of its dreams. And so, the story continued. A new chapter unfolded, a tale of hope and resilience, of darkness and light. The city was safe, for now. But the battle was far from over. The undercurrent of danger still pulsed beneath the surface, a constant reminder that in the heart of every city, there lurks a darkness waiting to be unleashed.